And just like that is a brand new week of racing here at Los Alamitos Racecourse. It is the week of Saturday, April 1st. We're kicking into April this upcoming weekend. Chris, welcome back to the program. Last week we had the 2-year-olds begin the season, and now we have we have 3 or 4 2-year-old races for this Saturday night.
Yeah, I think we have 4. Got a number of good-looking 2-year-olds, got some really nice workers, and a bunch of question marks.
Yes. And one trend that we noticed last week, it's every year, right? Every year we think, could the rail be a factor for these 2-year-olds, for these babies? And last week it proved to be a factor. A lot of them wanted to lug in and difficult to ride from that inside post. And this week we have some favorites, 2-year-olds drawn towards the inside once again. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if it happens again, because last week there was a couple of well-meant 2-year-old workers in the mornings that just did not handle the rail.
No, they got rambunctious inside the gate, standing there a little bit longer than the other ones, and then flew the head at the start. And the one heavy favorite veered in. The first one lost all chance and created a 7-1 shot there for Felix Gonzalez. And then, of course, the other one did win, but he was lugging out the final half, and he just did hold on there as your heavy favorite. They're like 1-5 or something along those lines.
And the one in between those two that you mentioned was maybe a 1-2 favorite, and that one didn't break at all from the rail. Kind of missed the break, and just the race was over. So maybe something to keep an eye on as we move forward here with the steers, specifically again for this card on Saturday night, because we have some well-meant runners along the inside. Let's talk about your selection for this Saturday night. Race number 9, April 1st. The rent is due. The mortgage is due, Chris. Let's see if we can get a little bankroll here to pay off the rent. Race number 9, the James S. Smith Memorial Handicap, 350 yards. Race number 9, 9-race program. So this is the featured event. And this is a pretty nice field assembled. We got a field of 9. We have runners that are dropping out of races like the Winter Derby, other stakes events. We have some 2-year-olds that are now 3-year-olds since they last seen. But I know you like the looks of Hayshaker from the rail.
Yeah, I've always liked this horse. This horse is a nice size, a well-meant, well-connected, good looker that has a good amount of ability. And he lost all chance in that last effort, and he was behind horses after breaking slow and getting bumped back or getting a little rambunctious inside the gate prior. But he's locked in the final half of the affair, but he's starting out very strong in the final half of the event and was moving nicely down the lane. And with the trouble track variant, his number figures pretty good. And guess what? This horse loves the rail. He's been on the rail a couple of times, one win, 1 second place finish, and back on the inside post looking for a clear path for the wire. So give that Jaime Gomez runner a big look here.
So here it is, Hayshaker. He was in gate number 4. This is the Winter Derby, the grade 1 back on February 18th. So he's had right over a month off, Chris. Gate 4, what did you see this night?
He got around bunches prior to the gate. He broke slow, was bumped back, and was crossed. Lost multiple lengths. You can see a little fractures. He's a nice-sized individual. And doesn't get away very, very well. And he's slow into stride. He gets bumped there and brushed again, kind of forced inward. Now he's going to be crossed by quicker rivals and with nowhere to run, basically wrapped up the final half of the affair. But he's a big, long strider. But he was moving nicely the final half of the affair. The winner was long gone in that event, but he was moving nicely the final half of the event. And he did gallop out pretty well, as per usual. And right there in post number 4, he galloped out nicely into and through the turn, as you can see right there. But he's a nice-sized individual. He likes that inside post. You have a clear path to the wire. If he gets away clean, he's a nice price. I think 5-1 along those lines. So it'd be a price look in the finale.
I'm going to rewind the replay again because I want to make sure we look at this bump again. This was a pretty hard bump, Chris. He gets bumped pretty much sideways. His hind end is like going opposite of his front end early on.
Yes.
And right there, after that bump, you've got to think that affects all kinds of late finish for him.
Yeah, it does. It affects his early speed, obviously, with a slow start and a big bump like that. It took him a while to get going, but he's basically wrapped up on. The winner's long gone, but he was starting out pretty well the final half of the affair, and he galloped out pretty well. Look, he get beat like 2.5 lengths or so, but he galloped out nicely into the turn. Like I said, he likes that inside post. He's done well from there. His best race on my numbers was from the rail. So let's give him a look from the inside post there for Jaime Gomez and Oscar Pianato at a price there in the James S. Smith Memorial Handicap.
And actually, from the rail, he won the Los Ponies Claiming Futurity right there, August 21st. He had the rail. And I remember, Chris, I I tried to beat him that night. Why? Because he had not shown the ability to break. He finally broke on top that night, and the race was over. So he has had success from the rail, which could be a positive here, drawing the inside post.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I looked at him, because with everything factored in, he likes that inside post, a clear path the horse can run. And I'm going to give him a look here in the James S. from Smith Memorial Handicap from that inside post where he's been a couple times with a win and a second place finish. So give him a look at a little bit of price there in the finale on Saturday night.
Chris, you might have persuaded me now to go deeper in my pick 4. I had already made up my mind. My price play, I'll share it with the viewing public. I like Marcelo. You know, I was very high in this horse as a 2-year-old, and I'm just thinking that maybe he's a 3-year-old. He's a little bit more immature. So I kind of have made up my mind that was going to be my price play. But I like your analysis on Hayshaker. That might just extend my ticket to stretch it out to Hayshaker. But I think Marcelo, he was always a horse that was difficult to ride as a 2-year-old. He finally showed gate speed last time out, which we knew he had, right? But yeah, maybe that was a great setup. If he has his mind right, Chris, I think he's worth a look at a price.
Yeah, he's got to look. His numbers are pretty good. He's been trouble prone in a number of races, but he's shortened up. And how many times have you seen horses that break slow going a distance of ground, short up to 110 and break well and run well at the 110? It makes no sense. But this horse coming back in 20 days off the 110-yard event, he'll be on the engine yelling, "Catch me if y'all can," there in the finale as well.
All right, this. Now I might have to stretch out my ticket, Chris. I like Hayshaker as well from the rail. I like your analysis. This is going to be a good edition of the James S. Smith Memorial Handicap. 350 yards will be the distance. And quickly, we'll show you who are the morning night favorites. It's Normandy in gate 4 for Roland Figueroa. This horse looked impressive in his local win. All 3 starts have been very, very solid. Shakespeare's Flash, 5-2. You got to think he can break much better based on what he'd done before, because last time out he lost all chance at the break.
Yeah, he did. Broke slow, got bumped back and crossed, and finished pretty well on close quarters in the wire. So his numbers give that horse a look there for Monte Rosa, who's always got him ready to go in the big dances too.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Fun one. Race number 9, the James Smith Memorial, and Chris goes with Hayshaker there from the rail. And looking forward to this edition of this stakes event, 350 yards on Saturday night. So that's going to be the closeout leg of every horizontal wager. Pick 6, pick 4, place pick all. By the way, for the place pick all players, the place pick all, one of the nights last week, I think he paid nearly $16,000 on the place pick all, and I think it was 8 out of 9. It wasn't even 9 out of 9. So that's how difficult it has been on a few of these nights.
Yeah, 8 out of 9 paid. I think it was like one ticket, obviously, at 14,000, almost 50, like 14.8, 14.9, something along those lines. It was a monster payout. You get some prices along the way. You got in the first race, you got 20-1 shots, knocking everybody out. And I got nose bob for 8 there in one of my selections. So we had a piece of the pie, but that's just the way it goes.
I think I went 6 out of 9 in that. But I mean, there's been nights where it's like nose bobs here and there. I mean, I shared a ticket on Twitter. It was 2 weeks ago. I shared the ticket. My horse finishes 3rd with trouble in the first leg, Chris. Of course, what do you think happened the rest of the way? I aced every single leg after that. So only the first leg where I finished 3rd was the only one I missed. Every single leg, the rest of the card, winner. That's just how it goes. But it's a great fun bet because you can still get beat. You finish 2nd, and you still move along. So that's the place pick all there.
Yeah, even if it goes chalky, you got a couple races where you go 1-2. It goes 2 times 2. It goes to 2. Then it goes 2 times 2 is 4. Then it goes to 2 times 2 is 8.
Yeah. So if you hit 2 or 3 exactas, you double, you quadruple. You go to 8 times your live tickets. Yeah. So if you hit exactas in those placement calls, you start multiplying the number of times you're alive. So it could be a fun wager.
Yeah, it's a great wager. You hit it 8 times at $75, $100. It's a nice little return on a small investment. For sure. All right, Chris, great talking to you. And the simulcast land, what are you handicapping for the Nightlands? Saturday night, we just got that done a little bit ago. We're handicapping races 4 through 12 at Remington Park. And I got some nice looking 2-year-olds coming back off some trouble notes there to try to help you out along the way. With there's one race that has like three horses with tons and tons of trouble. It's kind of hard to figure out which one. But yeah, sometimes you get a nice little return on those trouble prone horses.
As for those out players that are watching, some of the local barns here, well, familiar names, Monte Rosa and Heath Taylor. Last week, they both won major races down there at prices. I think at double digits, like 8-1, 10-1, both of those barns. So stay tuned to that Remington Park season. It's big fields and good value there, without a doubt. Chris, thank you for that selection of Hayes Shaker, and best of luck this Saturday night.
Let's get her done, boss. Appreciate
Let's
it.
go.
The Los Alamitos Pick Fours are known as night racing's best bets, with huge pools, a $1 minimum, and big payouts. Here are some of our recent Pick Four pools. On February 19th, the early Pick Four pool was over $209,000. On February 18th, it was over $189,000. And the late Pick Four pool on February 5th was over $188,000. Our racing programs begin shortly after the major daytime thoroughbred racing action. Big pools, great fun.
Impressive has blasted clear.
Night racing's best bets, always at Los Alamitos.
And we are back here for the weekend preview for Los Alamitos Race Scores, the week of Saturday, April 1st. We just saw a commercial from the gift shop, and we have our models there, Armando Cervantes and Gil Sayala. I do remember there was some shirts commissioned with the racing on the shirts. Do they still have some in the gift shop?
They do. As a matter of fact, I've been sending a couple out to some people by request, some friends of mine who have latched onto the fact that there's these racing T-shirts, and there's been a couple going up to Northern California and as far as Phoenix in recent times. So, yeah, mate, they're proving quite popular. I'm sporting one of the pullovers at the moment from the gift shop. It's some very good quality apparel available there.
Yes, please visit us at the gift shop there. The grandstand main entrance at Los Al is right to the left of the escalator before you head on to the main level at Los Al. Open during our racing nights there on Saturdays and Sundays. Let's get back to the program. Saturday night, 9 races. We just had Christopher Wade gave us a nice selection for the featured event, which is race number 9. And how about we take a look at race number 6, the start of the late Pick Four, with you, and that will give us a nice idea of how we're going to tackle this Pick Four sequence. And this 6th event, Michael, is maidens, quarter horses, going 300 yards. This was an interesting puzzle for myself. So I like that you're giving us an addition, a selection in this spot. And I know you're going towards the lightly raced Rio's Renegade.
I am. I like the fact that he's lightly raced because there are a couple of professional maidens engaged here that have been taking a lot of money for quite a few months. Rio's Renegade, on the other hand, is a fresher horse on the scene who I think is still improving. There's been something to like about each of his 2 starts to date. And we'll show you both races because they tie in through the morning line favourite, El Mysterious Fire. They were knocking heads in both of those contests. The debut coming on February 18 for Rio's Renegade, who had gate 2 and was moving his head before the break. He began slowly, was bumped inwards by the 3 horse as the 1 horse crossed in front of him. So he ended up over against the rail. You can see him shifting in sharply at that point because the 1 horse crossed him and then the 3 horse knocked him inwards. And that's El Mysterious Fire on the outside, dropping a win photo. And my horse, Rio's Renegade, ended up finishing 3rd, a couple of lengths behind El Mysterious Fire, but galloped out nicely along the rail after a lot of early inconvenience.
Yeah, and I like the, it's easy for a first-time starter to completely quit after a bad start like that. So to me, it was encouraging that he still kept on willingly to narrowly miss 3rd in that event.
Yes, and the gallop out was really quite good. And then in his 2nd start on the 11th of March, he drew the rail, and again El Mysterious Fire was in this race. This time they finished on even terms. He actually beat El Mysterious Fire by a nose, finishing in the minor placings again. Here he broke outwards from gate 1 and bumped. And then past the gap, he begins to drift out even more.
Yeah, he took a little bit more money. He was 19-1 in the spot, but this is a much improved effort compared to this first race.
It certainly was. And El Mysterious Fire had a pretty decent trip, and he's in the middle. And as you can see, Rio's Renegade got second on the inside, a nose in front of El Mysterious Fire. So in the span of one race, he's already made up a couple of lengths on that horse. And in this race Saturday night, Jose, he gets to the outside of El Mysterious Fire. Rio's Renegade will break from post position 5. El Mysterious Fire has gate 4. And you're getting better odds about my lightly raced horse. El Mysterious Fire's had 9 minor placings in a row. And Alfonso has been knocking on the door forever. He's got 7 minor placings from 13 starts and invariably takes money. These are the types of horses I love trying to beat. And one of these days, they'll jump up and actually win. But they can do it without me. I much prefer the idea of a young, not younger, but a less experienced, improving horse as opposed to these horses that have been trying for too long.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more stronger case to be made that we haven't seen the best of the 5, whereas we can argue that we already seen the best of the 3 and the 4. It's just a matter of them finding the level or the field to get that win. So there's a lot of things to like about the 5 lightly raced versus the 3 or the 4. It's an interesting puzzle. I like where you're going, and probably drawing on the inside of a first-time starter is probably not a bad thing for the 5. If he can just break a little bit better, he probably might have a clean path to run.
Yeah, I've got to love the post position draw. He gets off the rail. He goes out there to gate 5. He's got the favorite drawn right inside of him with, as you said, Jose, a first-timer on the outside. So it sets up well for him. Let's just see if he can take a little bit more improvement into start number 3. And I think that should be enough.
It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun card because immediately after race 6, we have one 2-year-old event, another 2-year-old event. So we're sandwiching the late pick 4 with a couple of 2-year-old races. And I want to get your early thoughts on the 2-year-olds. Me and Chris were kind of going over what happened last week. We saw some short price favorites did not handle the rail at all. We might have a similar scenario this week. So what did you think about last week's races?
I think the rail draw at 220 yards is treacherous, and it's always a bet against for me. And I know that one of those 2-year-olds did win from the rail, but we saw a few others pretty much get eliminated at the start. And it's not a good investment in my mind. So I tend to shy away from the rail draw at that distance and upgrade horses perhaps in their next start if they can get off the rail. So it's always interesting at this time of the year, just evaluating them. And, some of them have had 2 works and some of them have only had 1. They only need 1 in order to debut at 220 yards. That's another thing to keep in mind as we see them come back for their second start. If they're a horse that only had 1 drill going into the debut, I tend to move them up a little bit more for start number 2.
Yeah, and also something I noticed, something I paid attention to was one of those debut winners from the rail, from the tricky rail, was a runner that had worked on the inside of a 2-team set in the morning and had passed a horse, his workmate, after being down. It might have been a 3-team set, but he was on the inside and he made up ground in the workout to outfinish his or his other 2 workmates. And that's one of the 2-year-olds that did handle the rail and was able to prevail. So maybe that's something to watch for. Also, when you watch some of these morning workouts at losamigos.com, watch to see if some of these 2-year-olds are actually making up ground along the inside of workers or they're on the outside. So maybe that's something to pay attention, because I didn't remember seeing that with one of those horses that did win from the rail last week. And as always, the viewing public can watch these 2-year-old workouts at losamigos.com at your own convenience. And also, during our racing programs, our video team will show them before each and every race. And now, Michael, you go over these workouts right before the racing card begins.
Yes, I do the changes at 30 minutes to post, and then straight after the changes, we show all of the gate works in one package across the whole night. and there's going to be a lot of them at this time of the year. And then the TV department replays them race by race across the night.
Yeah,
so that's something to tune
resource.
in for on the simulcast signal.
Yeah, it's a great resource, especially when you show them all through as a big package before the card, so people can plan ahead for pick fours, place pick calls, pick sixes, whatever. So, and then race by race before each racing card, the graphic our TV department will replay them before that race is coming up. All right, Michael, good talking to you as always, and good to see you this week. And
I have one parting comment, Jose.
Yes.
I just want to touch ever so briefly on the El Primero del Año Derby on Sunday night. Was obviously a fabulous story concerning the connections of Heath Chickless, and that's been well documented. Party politics, again, was terrific in defeat, as he was in the trial. But I just want to give a shout out to Mahomes Magic. Yes. What a terrific effort to finish third from that long shot. If you have a look at the drone replay, he was actually last for a few strides in the early going, and I thought he did a terrific job, and just wanted to tip my hat to Mahomes Magic. And
it's been a pattern. I don't know if it coincides with it, but since he's, got into the later 2-year-old season and now into a 3-year-old, he looks more mature. He's added Lasix. Maybe that's helped as well before, but he's put up some very game efforts and long odds. So if you've been a backer of Mahomes Magic, you've gotten your money's worth without a doubt.
For sure. Yep. He's been underrated across a lot of his career.
For sure. Thank you for that. The recap of the Primero. That's definitely one of those horses that has proven to be a good investment for the players that have backed him there. But no doubt, a tip of the cap to the connections. He's Chickless. We knew he was a sensational gate breaker as a 2-year-old, and maybe he hadn't been breaking all that well in the last few starts, Michael, but he showed up on finals night last week.
Oh, he sure did. He just got out there and with an unassailable lead, and party politics, try as he might, as he was clawing away at the margin, he just wasn't able to peg back Heath Chickless, who had won more races as a 2-year-old than party politics or any other horse in the race. So he's been a terrific money spinner for Gerald Hartley.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats to the connections there in the El Primero with Heath Chickless. Michael, have a good evening. I'll see you Saturday at Los Al.
Good on you, mate. Hooroo. Racing. Quirky Biddy just getting a bump from BF Lizzie Ray just out wide. Candy Special Power is away brilliantly from gate 2. Here comes Cartel Kisses with a strong rally. So 2 Streaks of Power joining in. Cartel Kisses, Candy Special Power, Streaks of Power out wide. It's Cartel Kisses, I think.
Obviously, we'll take her. But we paid her late into both of those races last year in the futurity. So,
Rainbow and All-American?
Yeah. So
$50,000.
And here, right?
And here.
And yeah, we paid this late too. So yeah, we didn't have a very good plan. We didn't have any idea how good a filly was. That's as close. I love to stand down there at the finish line. I want to see it myself. I didn't know myself.
Just now?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure.
She was so close.
It was. She just did it at the wire. Originally, it was. I'm from Torrington, Wyoming. We ranch and feed cattle there, and then we have a place in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we raise the horses, and that's where Bobby spends a lot of time. She does a breeding and the foaling, and she actually. I was gonna sell this filly and was talking to Heath, and Heath really liked her, and Bobby always liked her when she sales prepped her, and so we bought her back at the Heritage sale. Actually, had Heath buy her back for us.
What was the buyback?
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, but yeah, this is Bobby and Larry, Bobby and Heath saved Larry from himself. He wanted to sell her. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd have been somebody else's running right here.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Well, Professor, haven't I told you that quarter horse photo finishes could be stressful for the heart? I mean, that was about as close as you can get, because not only was it a tight finish, they were kind of far apart as well in the Los Ponies Oaks.
Yeah, and 395 yards into that race, the inside horse is winning that race, right? Candy's Special Power. Mm-hmm. And in those last 5 yards is when that huge strides by Cartel Kisses catches her at the wire, ends up winning the richest race ever for an all-female cast of runners in the history of quarter horse racing. And we just happen to have it here at Los Alamitos Racecourse last Saturday night. A thrilling race. Both runners ran lights out. Very race from all of them, pretty much for the entire field. There wasn't much bumping going on at all. And Candy's Special Power, super nice effort from there. Owner Ken O'Brien has said that that was the horse that he really liked. Just the way that she was beautifully built, and she came back and ran a tremendous race in the final. But Cartel Kisses, the filly there with the winning habit, she won a lot of races as a 2-year-old, 2-for-2 now as a 3-year-old, wins the Oaks.
And what I found interesting, Professor, was that you're talking to the owners there in the Word Circle, they mentioned they had constantly paid late into even some of those futurities last year, because she just kept developing and showing more and more and more. And they also paid late here into Los Alamitos.
Yeah, they paid $12,000 to make her eligible to the Los Alamitos Oaks, worth every penny. But again, they almost sold this filly at the Heritage Place sale. Heath Taylor and Mr. Rice's wife, Bobby Rice, talked him out of it, talked Mr. Larry Rice out of it. And a great decision that they made, kept the filly. And now the sky's the limit for her. Hopefully we get to see her maybe after the big races at Ruidoso Downs. She comes down here and we get to see her in some of the late derbies. And of course, you know that we're going to have a tremendous mare program here at Los Alamitos. Yes. So for mares, this is the racetrack to be. And hopefully we get to see her running at Los Alamitos long term.
It was a tremendous renewal of the Los Alamitos Oaks. Congrats to Cartel Kisses. Again, proving that she knows where the winner's circle, where the wire is to get to the winner's circle, like she showed as a 2-year-old. Speaking of 2-year-olds, Professor, we had 2-year-olds underway the last week at Los Al. We had, 3 races on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. We have more 2-year-olds getting underway here this week. As we get closer now, we're going to start seeing some of these horses point towards those trials for the Kindergarten Futurity.
Kindergarten Futurity, Heath Taylor told me that he was ready. He's got a lot of horses eligible to the kindergarten. And if you see the past performance that you're going to show here from as we go through some of these 2-year-old races, if you see that K next to those horses' names, that means that horse is eligible to the Kindergarten Futurity. So some of these horses that are going to be, maybe a little bit more fine-tuned than some others, because they're getting ready for these big trials coming up in early May.
Now, remind me, Professor, do you have to have a start to enter into the kindergarten trials?
No, you don't. You don't have to have a start at all. That's for the Edberg Million. And the Edberg Million, that's when they need a start.
Okay, here we go. So why don't we take a look at all the quarter horse events for Saturday night? We have, is it 4? Yeah, we have 4. So why don't we go through all 4 legs, and we'll show you one workout per leg. Reminder, you can watch all these workouts at losalamitos.com, and we'll go through the fields here. First up, the first baby race, it's in race number 2, 220-yard events. These are for the fillies. Maidens going 220 yards. We got a field of 6 here in race number 2.
Yeah, we got two races for fillies on Saturday, 2 races for the boys. Races 2 and 5 are for the fillies, and the races 7 and 8 will be for the boys. And let's take a look at race number 2, Jose. And how about we take a look at number 6, the outside horse, Gambling Lady, posted a very fast work, 12.3 on March 13th. That was the 3rd fastest of 30 works on that day. And let's take a look at that work from Gambling Lady, a favorite cartel filly. And she's going to work evenly from the outside post with another runner by the name of One Look at Her. They both went 12-3 in this work. Gambling Lady going to leave the gate really nicely there, moving on a straight path under a very easy going ride. Very powerful throughout, was never pushed by the jockey Cruz Mendez during this work. And in fact, Mendez is going to wrap her up a little bit earlier after the wire. So right around the wire, she had done enough. Cruz Mendez was happy with what she had done, wrapped her up. And if you see the way she's going, she still wants to fight, Jose.
Yes.
She wants to get after that workmate, even after that gallop out.
Yes. And I'm going to show the workout one more time, Professor. But I feel like there's like a wrap or a bandage on the floor, on the ground. She might have saw that, and kind of there's a little bit of a hop right here, right there. You see a little bit of a hop? It might have been because of that white, whatever the white thing was on the floor. It might have been a bandage or something. You could tell they kind of reacted to that.
Yeah, there was quite a few runners that kind of looked at that bandage as they were approaching it. And again, these are 2-year-olds, right? They're paying attention to everything.
Everything. And I like the way she looked professional. She didn't move in or move out. She kept a fairly straight path. She wanted to do more in the gallop out. There's a lot of things to like about that workout for Gambling Lady. And I think that time tells you that she's ready to go as well. So she should be one of the main contenders, one of the favorites in that spot. She's 8-5 on Ed Berger's morning line.
And one other note before we move after race 2, we go to race number 5. The workmate on Gambling Lady, One Look at Her, in that work was ridden by Erasmo Gasca. Erasmo Gasca is going to be on One Look at Her in race number 5. So both of those horses are exiting the same work.
Yeah, so you can rewind our show right now, and you can rewatch that workout and take a look at the workmate of that runner, which is One Look at Her in gate number 2 here. Race number 5, these are for the fillies as well, 220 yards. So it's a split of the first one. So the 2-horse One Look at Her just worked with Gambling Lady. Let's take a look at another work in this spot. How about let's show Double Down. How about Double Down 1, 2, 3? Runner for Taos River Ranch LLC and Randy Young. This one bought at the Heritage Place for $35,000. Monte Rosa is the conditioner. We got a workout from March 9th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Jose, March 9th. And of course, Double Down 1, 2, 3. Sired by Flying Cowboy 1, 2, 3. And she's going to go against a runner by the name of Separate Kisses. I think we're going to see Separate Kisses in Sunday's card if I got all my info right. But let's take a look at here at Double Down 1, 2, 3. Working from the outside post, she's going to go in 12-6. And Separate Kiss is going to go in 12-8. Nice sharp break from Double Down 1, 2, 3 under a hand ride. She's going to move straight as an arrow in this one during the first part of the work. It's going to move slightly inward at the midway point, but then accelerates in the process. And it was all aces from Double Down 1, 2, 3 from there, winning the work by a length. And then she's going to continue with a nice gallop out at the end. 8th fastest of 39 works here on March 9th for Double Down 1, 2, 3.
And she is listed at 3-1 on the program, the third choice, and she's actually my top pick in the 9 lines. So I gave her the top pick just because I like the way she was carrying her head, Professor. She was eager to kind of keep going and do a little bit more. So I like what I saw in that working for her as far as her body language. She's 3-1, gate number 4. And also, Professor, what do you think about last week? We're just talking this with Chris and Michael, that inside post hasn't been very ideal for some of those first-time starters last week. So I like where Double Down is drawn in gate number 4.
Yeah, there was a lot of horses that were well bet from the inside post, and I think only one of them won, right?
Yes.
Jose Flores says he's a good reason. He handled the inside post really well, and he had shown us something impressive in his works. A nice-looking runner from that great family of Dacio Freda. But yeah, you're right. In this Saturday night as well, Kevin's knockout 5-2 in race number 5, going from the inside post. And in race number 7, Think Again Kev, we're going to see that work, I believe, for race 7. That horse is 7-5 and is going to go from the inside post also.
Yeah, for sure. I went 4-1-2 in this 5th race. What did you go with?
I picked number 4, Double Down 1, 2, 3 on top, and with Kevin's knockout as second.
Okay. All right, let's go to race number 7, the third baby race of the evening. These are now we're getting into the males, 220 yards, field of 7 in this spot. You can see, Think Again, Kevin, Professor, from the rail, 7-5 morning line favorite.
And this is going to be a 3-horse set, Jose, and one of the better 3-horse sets that we've seen so far. It's going to also feature Political Royalty, who is going to be part of race number 8 on Saturday night. The horse from the inside, Chosen One, another horse that I expect to see on Sunday night as well. But we're going to take a look at Think Again Kev, working from the outside post, Political Royalty in the middle. They'll both go 12-1. Bullet works here, and you see Think Again Kev broke in, but looks super early on in this work, moving nicely, had plenty of room to move, travel under a very easygoing stride. He did float inside to end up right next to Political Royalty there late, but finish ahead of him while being pushed for more. Solid work. Son of KVN Corona and the mother, Butter Think Twice, earned over $134,000 in her racing career.
We know both of these lines very well, Professor. KVN Corona the sire and the dam Butter Think Twice. They both love this track, right? Maybe that's something that they can pass along to their offspring.
Absolutely. KVN Corona won the El Primero del Año Derby during his championship 3-year-old campaign, was also a champion as a 2-year-old here at Los Alamitos Racecourse. And Butter Think Twice, excellent stakes place contender for many years.
Yeah, he was. Didn't he go like 8 for 8 as a 2-year-old, going into his 3-year-old, something like that?
He went for a long winning streak to kick off his career.
He definitely did. All right, I'm going to keep the workout on the screen. So flip ahead to the next race. Race number 8?
Yeah, race 8.
All right, so I'm going to keep the workout here on the screen. I'm going to show it again, replay it, because Think Again Kev, we focus on that one, which is on the outside. The middle one is Political Rivalry, right? Political Rivalry was in the middle of this 3-team set.
Yeah, and this runner is his dam is the greatest stakes winner, Apolitical Zoom, right there in the middle. Another gelding by KVN Corona, working in between horses. Another 12-10 work. And this one broke in and bothered the foe for the first 25 yards. Chosen One kind of went into that horse, but leveled out and accelerated in pretty impressive fashion, and actually finished just a little bit ahead of Think Again Kev at the wire. And then super gallop out, continued to flash speed in that gallop out, and was after being handwritten that work, Jose.
It was a very good reel. So both of those teammates in the mornings, they're going to be well back in race number 7 and race number 8. And I want to bring back the PPs and show you where we're currently at. As we were showing you, Think Again Ken was 7-5 on the morning line. And that one is 12-10. Do we have one? Yeah, we have one more workout here in race number 7 now. Flip it back to race number 7. We're going to show No Sedona here in March 18th. March 18th, No Sedona. He was, excuse me, on the outside of this set right here. And I'll bring it up. Here it is. No Sedona for Juan Alaman. Actually, owner and trainer Juan Alaman. He bought this one at the Los Angeles Equine Sale from the Dr. Steve Burns consignment for $39,000 by separate interest out of No Arizona. So No Sedona here on the outside, Professor.
No Arizona earned $66,000 during her racing career. And look at the way this horse is just going to slingshot his way out of the gate. Explodes out of there fast into his strides. Takes a step inside just a bit. Then moves back out under a hustling ride there. Drifts back inside a little bit at the midway point. But levels out nicely. Finishes with good acceleration. And then follows it up with another strong gallop out. He was full of run around that turn right there, Jose. His time was the third fastest of 43 works on March 18th. The time 12.5, outworking First Price Spirit there from the outside post.
I like that, Drew. I like how he levels out in the last half of that work and how he kind of wanted to, keep pulling on his rider and keep going and keep finishing. So No Sedona at 12.50. So given what happened last week, Professor, do you think the one is going to get absolutely hammered and get bet down very, very heavily because it is Heath Taylor, because it is a 12-10 workout? Or do you think there might be some hesitation for the players that paid attention to last week?
They're going to be paying attention to what happens in races 2 and 5 from that inside post.
Sure.
I know that for sure. I did put Think Again, Kev, as my top selection, and I put number 4, No Sedona, as my second selection, but I really, really like No Sedona. I think he's got a pretty good chance there to maybe pull that upset.
And I did like 1-7. So I like the 5. Excuse me, I like the 7 Warriors so at 5-1 off of that 1260 workout. And he's one of 2 runners, Professor, that has 2 gate workouts. The 1 has 2 workouts. The 7 has 2 workouts. And maybe that could help him be professional from that outside post. So I'm thinking the 7 could be interesting if the price keeps on floating up. And also, look at all those Ks, Professor. All of these runners, kindergarten. So all these runners, potentially, we could see in the kindergarten trials.
Yeah, that means we're going to have some really good kindergarten trials, Jose, because some of these have, already getting their 2 works. Although those horses that are having 2 works are from the Heath Taylor barn. The other horse that we talked about in race number 8, Political Rivalry, also has 2 works from the Heath Taylor barn. So he told me that he has a really good group of horses here for the kindergarten and that he's ready to go. So he's ready to go. He's got his horses ready for their first out and pointing to the kindergarten trials. I mentioned that maybe the trials were in early March. I might be wrong. They might actually be in late April. Do you have a calendar right there, Jose?
I do. Kindergarten, Robert A. there, Kindergarten Futurity trials, April 23rd, Professor. April 23rd.
The more I thought about it, I started thinking, wait, the final's here, and there's 3 weeks before the final for the trial, so they got to be a little bit earlier than that. So from here on, they got 21 days, then 23 days to get ready for the kindergarten trial. So they're coming.
So essentially, we're 6 weeks away from the final, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 3 to the trials and then 3 to the final.
So we're gonna see probably a lot of them next week as well, and then they'll start preparing for the final.
So there it is. A few workouts to show you there for the Saturday night program, and also one more note here. You knew I was a big fan of the dam of the 4, Doug Dash and Go, right?
Yes.
And what was the offspring she had last season? I can't think of the name right now.
One Sweet Duck.
Yes, One Sweet Duck. I was a big fan. And their win early pedigree, Professor, let me tell you. Baby winners up and down the bloodlines. Watch out for the 4, RR Blue Duck out of Duck Dash and Go. She was a rocket ship out of the gate. I think she might have won one of those when we still ran the blink of an eye, the 100-yarder instead of 110. She might have won that race, if I remember correctly, in a rapid time.
She won 18 races in her career. So she won a lot of races. Yes. I'm sure she won a lot of different distances as well.
All right. Another thing to know, Professor, we knew Power Gem, right? The thoroughbred is now used in the quarter horse bloodlines. How about the 6 horse here, Mitoli?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen a Mitoli up to this point.
And that horse, the work had a little bit of trouble leaving the gate. Just had a lot of trouble early on. But I really like the way the horse finished. And I love the gallop out as well. So it makes sense that a horse by Mitoli is going to just get better and better and better the longer that distance goes. And if this horse can just put it together in the gate, just leaving there, I think this horse has a chance to, as the races get to 350, maybe 400 later in the year, we might see something special.
There it is. A good look into the 2-year-olds that are competing this Saturday night. And, of course, race number 9 is the running of the James S. Smith Memorial. Well, how do you hear, Professor? What do you like in the James S. Smith? I talked to Christopher Wade about this race. I already gave my long shot selection here in this spot. But who are you liking in this spot? Who are you liking in race 9?
I have a feeling that Chick's First Flash is going to come back and kind of make amends from that, very tough race in the Los Alamitos Winter Derby. 5-2 Normandy, though. Jose, this horse has done nothing wrong since arriving here. 3 really good efforts here at Los Alamitos. Just barely missed running second in the Los Alamitos Winter Derby and was actually fighting there for the lead early on with Take a Swig of This in that Grade 1 race. So you have a really excellent field. I think this is one of the better James Smith's casts that we've had. Hay Shaker, a horse coming out of the Winter Derby as well, but also the 2 million and the Golden State Million. Forever Dynasty, Sergio Morfin, one of the hottest trainers here in stakes races. I know that Heath Taylor has won several stakes races this season. So has Monte Rosa. So has Sergio Morfin.
Yes.
He won the Queen for Cash and also won the El Primero del Año Derby last week. So Sergio Morfin's barn in stakes races, watch out. I'm a 60-man coming off of some good efforts last year, is coming back after a nice little layoff. Jessica Cruz ran second in the Wild West. Henry D is the one that's coming off from an allowance win here at Los Alamitos to start the meet. And Marcelo showed a lot of good speed at 100 yards, 110 yards, winning an allowance race here. So Dangerous Fellow will round out the field. So really good group of horses in the James Smith handicap. I think it's going to come down to Normandy and Chick's First Flash.
Marcelo's my long shot, Professor. I went 5/8 in this race. I've been high on Marcelo, so I can't let him go at that high up in odds at this spot. He was a 2-year-old that was, you remember, he was very green, right? He was difficult in the gate. He was difficult to load at times. He wasn't the most, the better horse as keeping a straight path. They gelded him. And last time out, his first start as a second start as a 3-year-old, he looked a little bit more mature out of the gate. Maybe that's a sign of improvement. So I'm using him at a price there in race number 9.
Well, he seems to be an all or nothing as far as efforts are concerned. He either has a tremendous race and wins, with a little bit of room to spare, or he just gets into trouble, gets in his own way. It has a rough start here or there. So we'll see. He's definitely a good selection for a long shot.
And speaking of last week's Derby, Professor, Heath Chickless. You were one of the constant supporters of the Heath Chickless in our consensus elections. I believe you had him one time at 11 or 12-1.
Yeah.
Last week he won at a very nice price again, showing that gate speed from last season.
17-1 was his exact odds, Jose. And I couldn't be happier for the connections. Gerald Harley, the daughter Dana Cullum. I was talking to them, and they said, we are here. He did it for our Gerald's late husband, Ronnie Harley. He did it for Ronnie. And I asked him, you don't miss many races. You're always here when your horses are running. And she's like, I haven't missed one. So whenever the horses are running, they are here supporting their horses. They don't have as many as when Ronnie Harley used to be here and had so many great runners like Muniz and so forth. But they are still very, very much involved in just loving the game, loving the sport, and getting some nice winners.
Yeah, congrats to them on that very nice win last week here. I just heard thunder. Thunder is approaching in my vicinity, Professor. So hopefully the rain, let's get it over with. Let's get over with today. That way we settle into a nice dry track here this weekend. By the way, tip of the cap to you. You paid up your pizza bet. Thank you for the pizza, Professor. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
Like the Lannisters, I always pay my debts.
When are you betting again so we can get more pizza? What's the next bet?
Well, there's a Clippers-Lakers game coming. There's plenty of baseball games. I'm sure, it doesn't take much for me to, put some kind of a bet down.
No.
You know what I have coming up is the Hurricanes. They're in the Final Four. As you know, I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yes.
Also, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. I followed them closely in my youth, and they're in the Final Four. So I'm gonna be right there rooting for them. You want to make a bet?
I don't want to make a bet because I already lost a lot in the March Madness, Professor. No, thank you.
Okay, we'll wait. Then we'll wait.
I fell in love with this March Madness, and then I couldn't. And then I was like, "Get it away from me." That's how this March Madness went for me. I was in love with it, and I was like, "That's enough. I throw in the towel. That's it." It was that kind of March Madness. It's been so much fun watching it, Professor. So much fun.
Yeah, but didn't you have a lot of nice long shots? I mean, you had the right strategy, right?
Yes, I did. But guess what, Professor? I'm U of A. Shout out to the Racetrack Industry Program, U of A. So guess what?
Oh.
We get beat in the first round by the long shot, one of the only long shots that I didn't bet. Why? Because it was against Arizona. I had to stay true to Arizona. And of course, after that, I was just swimming. I was just trying to stay afloat, Professor. Just trying to stay afloat. It's been fun. March Madness truly is March Madness. It's fun.
Incredible. Some of those games where there were some grinding games, just grinded out type of games. Hurricanes didn't look like they had much of a chance against Texas, and they came flying. How about Florida? What's it? Florida International? Is that what?
Florida Atlantic?
The Owls, the mighty Owls.
Yeah, the Owls.
I like to see them going against Hurricanes in the final. Let's see. Connecticut looks like the pick though, right?
Yes. Do we have to root for a California team in San Diego State?
Oh, that's right. San Diego State. Of course we do.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a really interesting Final Four.
It is for sure. So we got a California team to root for there with San Diego State. I mean, Kawhi. We're both Clipper fans, Professor. Kawhi, right. San Diego State. We have to root for them. Hopefully they do well. Speaking of the Clippers, Professor, what a win last night. We're recording this on Thursday. What a win! What a win! That was a vintage Westbrook. How about that?
Yes, going 4 against 1. Vintage Westbrook getting blocked, but he got 36 points, so I like that.
Did you get a message from RX Los Alamitos chart caller, Laker fan Curtis Trice about that game with Westbrook? Yeah. Did you?
No, he's been quiet. He's been quiet. I think he's waiting until the playoffs. He's waiting until the playoffs, seeing how the Lakers turn, and then I'm sure he'll turn up the sound on his thoughts from that point on.
Well, Lakers Clippers coming up next week. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And speaking of fun games, the MLB season kicked off today. I read somewhere that is the first opening day that every team played in like a long time, right, Professor? Every team opening day today played.
Yeah, full slate of games. Usually, there's an international game that's going on. Sometimes only the Cincinnati Reds usually play the first game of the season. I think they're always playing on opening day. But yeah, a lot of fun. We still got the California teams playing later tonight.
Yep.
The Dodgers, the Angels. So it's going to be a great Major League Baseball season because they made a lot of changes to speed up the game, maybe bring some more action into a game, and much needed. And if you're a Dodger fan and you're used to getting to the game by the second inning,
yes.
Now with these new rules, you're going to get there by the 4th inning. You're going to get there early now.
And then because supposedly the new pitch clock, Professor, is shaving off the games to like 2 hours and 30 minutes. So it's going to be quick. Yeah. So it's going to be. Let's see how it plays out. So it's going to be a fun sports season here, kicking off here at Los Al, and we're getting ready for the kindergarten, one of the main 2-year-old events to begin the season in just a few short weeks. Professor, thank you for the recap video of the Los Alamitos Oaks last week. The richest ever Los Alamitos Oaks goes to Cartel Kisses. And, of course, we'll be looking forward to the next 2-year-old to step up this season at Los Al.
Thanks so much, Jose. 9 races on tap First post 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Should have another really good program on Sunday as well.
Sounds good. Have a good night, Professor. I'll see you there on Saturday night.
Thanks, Jose. We'll see you.
Racing fans, the traditional $2 pick six at Los Alamitos is always a great bet. And when there's not a pick six carryover on Sunday nights, we'll add $10,000 to the pick six pool. That means that every Sunday night, Los Alamitos has either a pick six carryover or the $10,000 pick six promo. Plus, our total pools have been gigantic, with a season's best $205,000 on January 7th and a $115,000 pool on January 29th. The traditional $2 pick six, a great bet, a great deal, big time wagering opportunities, always at Los Alamitos. The Los Alamitos Pick Fours are known as night racing's best bets, with huge pools, a $1 minimum, and big payouts. Here are some of our recent Pick Four pools. On February 19th, the early Pick Four pool was over $209,000. On February 18th, it was over $189,000. And the late Pick Four pool on February 5th was over $188,000. Our racing programs begin shortly after the major daytime thoroughbred racing action. Big pools, great fun.
Impressive has blasted clear.
Night racing's best bets, always at Los Alamitos.